Welcome to the JTrain podcast. It's JTrain, Jared Freid, coming live from the West Village of Manhattan. We're here every Monday with your emails, your stories, your questions. I say it every episode. Let me say it again. Thank you. Thank you for being a listener. Thank you for telling a friend, a coworker, a brother, a sister, a mama, a papa, anyone with ears. We'll take the earless community as well. Very thankful on this end. We love you. We love you out there in YouTube land. If you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/Jared Freid. Get subscribed. If you're listening and you want to check out the YouTube experience, that'd be kind of fun. Give it a shot. I've had a lot of people commenting that they are coming over from Spotify. They're coming over from Apple Music. I just want you to enjoy the show. The YouTube is a different element. It's fun. You're seeing, it's a different feel. But listen, if you're here, your family, as we always say here, us in the Olive Garden. So I want to thank you for being a listener. Thank you for telling a friend. There is no better feeling in the world than when you, the listener, tell a friend, and then the friend comes to me and goes, I heard about you through my friend who sent it to the group chat. Ooh, it feels like a little feather just grazing my nuts. Just, the part where he stitched me. The big man upstairs, or woman, whatever you'd like, the big they in the sky, stitched my balls together at the seam, and that's where that feather goes. Ooh, it feels good. Back and forth, to and fro. We should bring back to and fro. Don't you think, Shelby? To and fro. I'm going to start saying to and fro. Is it fro? Yeah. Yeah, to and fro, here and there, nooks and crannies. That's right. So thank you. Thank you, listener. Thank you, Mr. Listener. Thank you, Ms. or Mrs. Listener. There should be a Mr. Married version. Shelby, don't you think? Absolutely. That's the most misogynist part of it all. It should be Mr. if you're not married and taken if you're married. No, I don't know. Something. It is kind of ridiculous that there's a Ms. and the Mrs., but whatever. I digress. Thank you for being a part of the show. If you're out there and you want to come to a live show, the live shows have been kicking. I mean, I'm going to the phone to go just give you the dates, okay? I want to give you the dates because they're important to me. I love when you guys come to the show. I was just in La Jolla. If you're listening to this, the day after I left La Jolla. I'm taping this Monday before going to La Jolla. 4 out of the 5 shows are already sold out. You're amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to come in there, and by this time on Monday, I'll be waking up by the sea, looking at the ocean, the great Pacific, thinking, thank you, podcast listeners. Thank you for coming and bringing the friends in the group chat. So I got more shows. Boston, Mass. We're doing a Live You Up. That is almost sold up. That's almost sold out as of today when I'm taping this. So Live You Up in Boston, so get those tickies. Minneapolis, I've never performed stand-up in Minneapolis. I want to come. I'm excited to come. I'm doing a theater. The Assembly at the Women's Club, that's the most appropriate location for my show ever because so many women come out. So Minneapolis, Minnesota, I'm there on June 18th. That's just a stand-up show. Then San Francisco for You Up Live, Los Angeles for You Up Live, Huntsville stand-up, Nashville stand-up, Springfield, Missouri just added stand-up, Austin, Texas, Live You Up, Chicago, Illinois, Live You Up, New York City, Live You Up, and then DC and Albany and Dayton for some stand-up dates. So JaredFreid.com, JaredFreid.com. That's really what I got. I you can join Patreon if you'd like. That's always fun. We're having there's a conversation happening on Patreon. And Shelby, right? Like last week's got serious. I talked about a recent death that I was dealing with. I talked a little bit on Luxury Lounge. But I talked about there was a proposal at one of my shows. Someone proposed to their girlfriend. I helped them set up the whole proposal. And that probably would be out on video by the time this comes out. So go watch it on my Instagram. All this is to say, very excited. And if you have an email you want to send in, your questions, your stories, advice, JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. That's JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. Very excited for today's guest. First time on the show. Long time. I'm embarrassed that you haven't been on yet.
Oh, dude.
Eric Newman, thank you for coming on.
JTrain, thanks for having me. Dude, this is like literally one of the podcasts I've been wanting to do forever. So for real, man, thanks for having me.
That means a lot to hear. Eric is hilarious, awesome comic, I'm Eric Newman on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. You've blown up on TikTok, on the talk.
JTrain.
Dude,
Tough,
you
man.
say it like it's a hard life.
No,
this is
but
great.
dude, I seriously want to, and this is not Bobby Kelly's podcast, so I could actually say genuine comment without being roasted. Hopefully, we'll find out. But you know, you were one of the guys, like truly, who you were one of like the 5 guys who, like, when I was like starting to come up, that I was like paying attention to, and just like your hustle and your grind, like you created your own platform, and I was like, I gotta follow that playbook. I have to, you know, So yeah, I mean, TikTok's going really well. Instagram.
Well, that's kind of, you know, we have the tools. We, you know, it's more work. You know, I think there's people that, you know, no one likes work. No one wants to do work. All of us, we're spending our days doing work so that we don't have to do work later on. I think that's like
if there is a later on. Hopefully.
If there's a later on, I look a little bit more positively than you. But I would say, you know, you're doing the things. Oh, you guys.
Oh yeah,
plug in. No. Keep it.
Okay.
We're doing things today to make sure that we're set up for tomorrow. And again, you know, the internet is both the problem and the solution. The internet for all the bad things that happen. There's also some good things. That's kind of life. So during the pandemic, you had all this clips, and you were like, TikTok, I'll just start pushing them out, and they started getting views, and you're like, here I am. Is that what it is?
Sort of. That's pretty much how it went. Like I mean, I think you can like relate to this. Like the pandemic seemed to divide the people who wanted it so badly and the people who didn't. And the people who didn't were kind of like, okay, 2-year vacation. You know, I don't have to do anything. The world's not expecting me to do anything. The world actually said don't do anything. So here's my easy out. And for me, I was like, you know, at the time I was with my ex and we lived together, and like I was really dying, man. Like and she was amazing. It's just like I couldn't handle not being productive. And so I was like, I have to find a way to challenge it. I have to, you know, and so I did it. And thankfully, like I had enough, I'd been doing stand-up at 11 and a half years at that point. So I had like enough clips sort of to like keep me going through the pandemic. I was like, oh yeah, I'll just go back to my old sets and whatever. And I chopped some stuff up, and dude, I was wrong a lot. A lot of my clips bombed, and the times I was right. I was really right. And it's
interesting because I remember going to like, there was the guy at open mics or at shows who'd be setting up this camera. There was always that one guy setting up a camera. They were sitting there with their tripod, you know, and I'd always look at them and be like, oh, that is, again, work. That's a ton of work. You got to get there early. You got to set up the camera. You got to make sure, you know, it's in the right spot. You got to make sure the sound is okay. And I was like, I don't want to do that work at all. And I mean, that's an example of, and, you know, I would rather do other things. If you know, just like the pandemic happens, I can do this or I can do that. And I remember seeing those people that were setting up those cameras, and I was like, I don't know, that's not for me.
Yeah.
And then, but I also didn't have a platform. You know, there was no carrot at the end. So maybe I need that. You know, that you start looking at it, you go, oh, well, now all those people that were setting up the cameras, they have all this footage.
Yeah.
They're ready to go. And, you know, for me during the pandemic, I was like, yeah, I'll go to daily with the podcast. Let me do this on a daily basis. And that was a decision, you know, I got the podcast. I'm going to go daily. People are looking for, you know, entertainment on a daily basis because TV shows are running out. They're done with the binging. They want something that feels like a Tuesday.
Yeah.
And that was kind of lost in the pandemic because everything just felt like a random Wednesday at 3:00. It just always felt like that time.
Right.
It is interesting. You had the clips. Well, here we go. Put them out just like the podcast.
And you know, your podcast seemed to come before. I mean, you seem to be in that first really early wave of podcasting.
Yeah.
Before, I mean, now everybody has a podcast, right? I mean, like, and most of them aren't very good, and most of them get no traction. But you were in that really early window, and that's what I realized is like I was like pretty late on Instagram, and now I'm catching up. But like with TikTok, there weren't that many people posting stand-up clips 2.5 years ago.
So you felt like you were like, oh, I see an opening to be the, you know, on the new. You know, on the new block, so to speak. Sort
of, yeah. And my ex told me about it, and like I knew it was like this dancing app or whatever. But then I started seeing people put like dog videos up, and I was like, why can't you?
Stuff, this is what happens. You know, in this podcast is about taking. You know, when we get these emails, and keep sending them in, JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. We have some fantastic emails today. This is what the podcast is all about. We take the emails, we listen to them, we read them, and then, okay, here's a perspective. Here's a shift. Yeah. Here's what you're looking at it this way. What about looking at it from this way? What about looking at it from this way? When people go, young people dance on TikTok, that ain't it.
Right.
No, that's what you are comfortable looking at it as. I'm comfortable looking at it as place to yell at charcuterie. You know?
Yeah, by the way, dude, I just want to just quickly digress here for a second. Like, because I was in LA 2 weeks ago, right? And a buddy of mine was talking to me about how and I don't know anything about charcuterie. I would probably tell you the worst board, the most disgusting board ever. It looks
most
amazing.
are bad.
Just, you know, whatever. I have no idea. But he was like really passionate about making charcuterie boards. And I actually just learned how to say that word, to be perfectly honest with you. Like that.
Sure.
Yeah, I text you, I whatever. And he was like, I'm a huge charcuterie board. And then I mentioned your name and he goes, oh, I've seen Jared Freid's work or whatever. And I go, I could text
the board lord.
The board, yeah. So I go, I could text him if you want and just like ask him maybe if he would look at the board. I was like, but you have to be, are you okay with getting the truth?
Well, this is the problem. I have shown up to places and they're like, we don't want to show you, but there's a charcuterie board in here. And like, it has kind of made things uncomfortable. I think I'm invited to less parties now because of it, to tell you the truth.
Because you're going to be honest.
Well, now I have a legacy to keep.
You have to.
I have to keep up my
honest.
reputation. I'm not just the board lord for nothing.
Right.
You have a new special out. Okay?
I do.
It is a stand-up special, and so everyone, you know, we've had a lot of people here on this show. If you're listening, if you're watching on YouTube, people are, you know, this is the gold rush, so to speak. You're heading to YouTube land. You got your axe in one hand, you got your billow and the stick, and you're going prospecting for more viewers. That's really what it is, and it's called "But Enough About Me." But enough about me. Is this a 12-year journey to a special? When do we start working on this stuff?
So this is actually a crowd work special.
Crowd work.
It's a crowd work special, and I did it. I had two albums out before that. One I did in 2018, which was I was 10 years into stand up. You know, like these people that put albums out after a year, and you're like, what the fuck are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
Like you don't even like that's insane. We could talk about that later, but like I waited 10 years and I recorded my first one of the comic strip that was called Nervous Lover. I put that out in 2018. Then I wrote for the first 6 months of the pandemic. I wrote like 45 minutes, and I recorded that on a rooftop during the pandemic, and that was called Just a Phase. And then this one, because I've gotten like kind of a fan base from like these crowd work clips, I'm like, let me just try to challenge myself. My headlining style has become very much so like half and half, and I think like hosting at the Cellar, I think has just made me like much better with the crowd, much more comfortable, whatever. So my headlining style is very like half and half now. So I was like, let me just give myself, I always like to challenge myself. So I was like, let me just give myself the challenge of just doing like 35, 40 minutes of no jokes. I cannot do jokes no matter what. And thankfully, I think, you know, people had a really good time and it went really well.
So listen, tune in for 45 minutes of no jokes.
No jokes. No jokes. If you like jokes, this is not for you.
So you go into the crowd, or you know, my problem with this, you know, listen, this is for people at home. You tune into a crowd work special to watch the trapeze act. You're walking the tightrope.
Totally.
People, you're watching. Is it going to go well? Is it going to go not well? There's a daredevil aspect to this.
Totally.
And that's the fun of watching a crowd work special. So everyone should go on YouTube, youtube.com/c/Eric Newman Comedy. Just search Eric Newman or go to his Instagram @I'm Eric Newman. @I'm Eric Newman on TikTok and Instagram. Just go, and all the links will be there. I'm positive of it.
Thanks,
so
man.
@I'm Eric Newman. Everyone go follow. Neumann. So go. Eric's hilarious. But I would say
Sure.
the crowd work angle.
Yeah.
Do you have a process for how you're? Because my issue with crowd, when I go to do crowd, where are you? I don't care. You have to care about the question you're asking,
dude. 100%. And dude, I totally respect comics not caring at all.
No, but I do, and I've done crowd work. There's a video on my Instagram right now of me doing crowd work, and I'm trying to get to a bit.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I'm doing it.
At a lead-in to get where you want to talk.
I'm dancing around because I know the ending is going to be worth whatever awkwardness goes on in this room. So if I say to someone, who you here with tonight? And I'm like, I don't care. And then they go, I'm Randy, this is Andy. And I'm like, your name of your couple's Randy and Andy. So now we have the premise. Randy and Andy have been dating. Their name rhymes. What are we going to do with this? Like, that is fun, but you don't always find Randy and Andy.
No, not always.
Sometimes you find, hi,
nothing.
Good, nothing.
Exactly. Well, people will always be like, oh, that was so fun. Like, we love that. And I'm like, I'm only doing half the work. I mean, like, I have to come across, like, there are times where I'm stumped. I mean, I do this now, like, every night mostly, especially when I'm hosting at the Cellar. I'm, like, doing 80% crowd work before I even do a bit or two. So, like, I'm always challenging myself to try to find the funniness of it. And sometimes you just get really lame fucking people, dude. And, like,
yeah, you know, well, so that's why I would have prepared crowd work. When I hosted, I would do, you know, who's the first time here at a comedy club? Clap, clap, clap.
Yeah.
Who's been here before? Clap, clap, clap. Like, you're trying to get people on the same page, and it's
Totally.
like, who's here on a first date? No one claps. Oh, no love in the room. You know, you can
right. You play off that.
Know.
So I genuinely, and I think, like, people have asked me about this, they're like, I have a genuine curiosity about people's stories and lives. Like, and I think it's in a way, like, I talk to Modi about this all the time. Like, Modi will, like, I used to open for him at gigs all the time. So I would open, I would do a lot of crowd work, and then he would come up and he would be like, where are you from? I don't care. And, like, kind of make play, just like, I don't give a shit. I don't want to. And I was like, I totally respect that. I actually am very interested in hearing people's stories and, like, listening to how they met and whatever. So I think that genuine curiosity.
What's the most memorable story from the special?
From the special, that was the one thing I was talking to somebody about this yesterday, how there, you know, now that I've been doing this so often, there's definitely been moments, like I had a clip it from the Cellar that got 19 million views on TikTok. It was I asked a guy and a girl in the front if they were a couple, and he said, and she said he had sex with my mom.
What?
And there was this whole thing, and sort of we unpacked it, and it was crazy. So that one went like crazy. There was nothing to that level of craziness in the special, but what I really enjoyed about it was, I think it was like a good representation of sort of who I am on stage when I talk to the crowd. And I was talking to these two gay dudes in the beginning of the show, sort of like playfully, you know, joking with them. And then at the end, he ended up like singing a song with me. We ended up singing Dancing Queen, which is fucking so weird. I mean, like, but I was like, oh, whatever. Like, we'll do. So it kind of had like a thematic arc a little bit, like whatever, which that I liked about it. But it was just fun, man. I mean, it was just like, I genuinely like talking to people and hearing their stories.
Well, let's hear some stories.
Yeah,
hell yeah. The emails. Everyone go follow Newman at I'm Eric Newman. Phone numbers and double standards. I matched with a guy on Hinge, with the conversation moving pretty quickly on the app. No red flags in the conversation or in his profile that I could spot. He suggested we meet for a drink the next day, and we picked a time and a place via the app. Usually I would have moved the conversation to text by that point, but things progressed pretty quickly and naturally. Once we'd made the date, I gave him my phone number saying, here's my number, better way to reach me since I have notifications turned off. His response to this was basically, thanks, but I don't give out my number until after I've established a connection with someone. I was instantly uneasy and communicated this. While he wasn't rude or overly defensive, he was firm in his stance. I told him I wasn't comfortable going on a date with someone who wouldn't give me their real number ahead of time. He got defensive at this point, saying not giving out a number early on is totally normal. You never know who's crazy. Ultimately, we couldn't compromise and cancel the date. Here's the thing. He makes a point that not giving out a phone number early is normal for some people, but those people are typically women. This is usually done for safety reasons. I have plenty of female friends who keep conversations on the app or use Google Voice numbers until after a successful first date or even later. While I've never done this, I get why some women do. However, when it's a man doing it, it feels sketchy. It comes off like the guy is married, like he's trying to set the stage for a one-night stand he can easily disappear from, or even something more sinister. I think even the craziest, clingiest type of woman doesn't cross the line into scary to the extent where a guy would set boundaries like this. Was this a reasonable standard to have on my side? This is a very interesting question, because what she's saying is, she sets up a date with a guy, then says, here's my number. And he says, I don't give out my number until we've had a connection. There's a lot of crazies out there. Do you think, and she brings up a good point. This is normal. I've heard of women doing this, and I understand the danger of, you know, a man is the biggest predator to a woman, you know. So totally. You're dealing with a lion when you're a steak trying to marry the nicest lion out there. What do you think?
First of all, super interesting story, and there were 3 points she specifically made that before she said them, I was like thinking them, where the first thing that came to my mind was he must be married, because you don't want the trace or something. Instagram might be his like safe platform where his wife doesn't check,
Well, it seems
his
like it
girlfriend
was
doesn't
Hinge,
check.
a dating app. Yeah.
Right. So he might have that place to be safe and feel secure while he's hiding something from somebody else. And the number is like always out, right? You get text messages, your girlfriend's around, whatever it is. So that was the first thing that came to my mind. First of all, it's our job as men to make, I mean, women deal with fucking predators and creeps all day long. If you're an attractive woman, I mean, you're dealing with this constantly. So it's like, it's our job as men to be like,
any woman, you know, everyone's attracted to someone, you know?
Exactly. So I think it's our job to just be like, you know, not in a defensive way, but just like, I want to make you feel comfortable.
Well, you have to be aware of all sides of the dice. And this guy is seeing this from a very tunnel vision point of view.
Right.
You might get crazy on me. He's not seeing the other side of this of like, well, you're saying something to me when you won't give me your number. You're making me feel lied to.
Right.
And he's bringing up, here's the answer to this email is things worked out the way they should. They canceled the date. They didn't go out. They're not the match. Yeah. I actually don't mind that this is a standard. I think it's okay for him to have this standard. Anyone can have any standard for themselves.
Totally. But once she gave the number, that would have been his move to be like, okay, here's my...
Well, this is the point that he says, thanks, but I don't give out my number until after I've established a connection with someone. What do you mean a connection?
Isn't there a connection on Instagram?
The Hinge.
I mean, on Hinge, sorry, I keep saying Instagram.
You know, he goes... You know, the idea that they have a great conversation, things move quickly, let's go on a date... Yeah. To her, that is a connection, right? You know, to her, she's saying, "Well, what more of a what type of connection are?" And now, I would feel from her point of view, what am I, you know, jumping for the carrot? Now I have to audition for you for this connection where now I've shown you that I'm connected enough with you. I can understand that this feels icky to her, and she's right. But I love what happened. I love actually what happened because I don't think there's a right or wrong in this scenario because I would agree with her that this guy is coming off like a liar. He's not really seeing that, you know, what are the, you know, he's overblowing the ramifications of dealing with quote unquote crazy woman that might be out there. But I think that's a weird fear that he has. But it's a fear you can't really disagree with. Like he knows that he's living on the moral mountain. Yeah. Oh, I'm just want to have a connection. He's using all the right language, which is also even more sketchy.
Yeah, totally more. But the thing is, man, once you're on Hinge and you're convinced enough on both ends to go on a date, it should be the order should be the Hinge connection, the text exchange, the date.
But then if a woman said to me, I don't like to, you know, give out my number, I would agree with her. I could understand because I would go,
but it's weird as a guy.
It's weird as a guy. That's the point. He's leaning on, well, if a woman can say this, I can say this too. And because you can't disagree. But that's the whole point of the whole dating process. Right. You are trying to find a match. If you haven't even gone out yet, and now you're having this argument of whether a connection is enough to exchange numbers, you're not the match.
Totally not.
If it had worked out differently, this could have worked out differently. Yeah. Hey, great conversation on the app. Meet you at the bar tomorrow night. They get to the bar the next night. They have a great time. She at the end of the night, he goes, "Hey, let me get your number." You know, we didn't even exchange numbers. Yeah. Boom. Wow, we're on date 2.
Yep.
But it didn't go that way. And that's the thing. You realize this wasn't a match maybe before you were ready to realize it. And it just isn't the match. You're not right for each other.
And also somebody who has that type of boundary, like, I mean, he put a halt to the connection. I mean, whether his reasoning was good or bad in his own personal life isn't really the point. He put a halt to the connection. So right there, you're already dealing with somebody who's sort of walking on eggshells.
Well, that's a good point because he put a halt to the connection, which means he might not have been looking for a connection at all.
Totally.
Because you go, here's the thing. Dating is a lot of risks. Just admit to that. Yep. Admit, giving your number out to someone you just met online is a risky scenario. And if you want to meet someone, you gotta. What's the line? You gotta. If you want to play, if you want to get hit, you gotta go play in traffic. You gotta go play in traffic if you want to get hit. That's a very apt description of what dating is.
Yeah,
like. Because
totally.
and this guy is going, no, I have to walk on this road that has no cars, and I will get from point A to point B. It's okay that he has this. We both agree it's a weird thing to do, and it's also not opening yourself up to the variability of going on a date with someone, and the number. But
I think this guy's
I'm
married.
happy they didn't go out.
Me too. And I think he's married or has someone.
There's something else up.
Something is going on. Yeah.
JTrainPodcast@gmail.com, JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. Here with Eric Newman at I'm Eric Newman on TikTok and Instagram. Go follow. We're sponsor people. JTrain Podcast is sponsored by Every Plate. Want to save on your grocery bill? Every Plate is 25% cheaper than grocery shopping. Whoa. We're saving money, people. Try America's best value meal kit for delicious dinners that don't break the bank. So Every Plate sent me a bunch of the dinners. I love them. They're great. They come with all the ingredients, and it's, again, 25% cheaper than going grocery shopping. Here's the beauty of a meal kit. You get a beginning, a middle, and an end. It is satisfying. You get to look at the picture, you put it all together, you get to see how you did compared to the picture. There's so few things in life. It is meditative. There's so few things in life that you get a beginning, a middle, and an end. And here's the other thing. If you're living alone, if you live with your partner, it's tough to shop for two people, one person. The vegetables, what are you going to get? How many celery stalks you buying? You don't know what to do. So portion sizes automatically. I'm not saying, the recipes. I mean, I thought meal kits had to be expensive, but turns out Every Plate is more affordable than the grocery. They're leaning heavily on the affordability, which I agree with. I mean, their quality ingredients come pre-portioned to help you save money and reduce food waste. That's the big thing. You're getting the right amount of food. When I go to the store, I'm going, give me 6 chickens, and then I eat them all. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm hungry when I go shop. This is a great way to control your portions and also spend the right amount of money. Try Every Plate for just $1.79 per meal. That's $1.79 per meal by going to everyplate.com and entering code JTrain179. That's everyplate.com, code JTrain179 for $1.79 meals. That's up to $104 value. Wow. Every Plate, America's best value meal kit. I love that. Let's go to another email. It's called No Physical Contact for First 4 Dates Help. Papa JTrain, feather. I've been out with this guy for 4 dates, and it's been great, but the problem is he's not made any moves yet. I've tried to bring up sexy topics to get us into that kind of mood, but those conversations don't really go anywhere. I don't want to initiate physical contact because I find it hot when men take charge. I'm in my late 20s. He's in his early 30s. How can I subtly, that's a weird word spelled versus how it's said. How can I subtly invite him to make a move other than steering the conversation to spicy topics, which hasn't worked so far? And why hasn't he made any moves yet? Not even a kiss goodnight. Never in my history of dating has a man waited 5 dates to initiate physical contact. Is he not attracted to me? Thank you. Love the podcast. I've attached a photo of myself and a photo of him to help you better visualize the situation. I don't think we need a photo. It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter.
This isn't like, he shouldn't touch you.
Yeah.
She's been on...
I can see why now.
Yeah. She's been on 4 dates. She wants to know why there's been no move made. What do you think?
It's a bunch... a number of reasons. Unfortunately, it can't be boiled down to one thing.
Nervous.
He could be nervous. He could like you. He could like you and sort of want to play it right, and he could be a guy sort of accustomed. For example, I was a guy who was just sort of sleeping around, and whenever I actually liked somebody, I really wanted to get to know them.
You'd pull back.
I would pull back a little bit because I didn't want to make it physical. I mean, I wanted to make it physical.
Also, it's the equivalent of taking a shot with a second left versus taking a shot in the first quarter.
Right.
If you don't really... I don't want to say don't care, but if it's not as important to you, and you're going to go, you're less nervous, you're a little bit more yourself maybe, you're a little bit more loose, you're saying things out of pocket that you might not have said before. When it's someone that you've put on this kind of pedestal, you're like, well, when do I touch the back? You know, like it changes things.
And the problem is now, like, this actually isn't if he really likes her, which there's a very good possibility of that.
4 dates, though. This is, I mean, you know, 4 dates. The problem I think that they both have is she's not allowing herself to maybe be turned off. That's a big part of this email. When she says, I find it hot when men take charge.
Right.
So you don't find what this guy is doing.
It's unattractive to her.
Yeah. And
totally.
So she has to start at that, because what happens in these scenarios, and this is a tough one to give advice on.
Yeah.
Because let's say he's nervous, and let's say he makes decisions on his partner based after sexual activity happens. So maybe he's, you know, the position she might get into, and this happens all the time. She's like, I don't even know if I like him, but why doesn't he like me? And then she gets the guy, you know, ends up getting physical with him.
Right.
And then he goes, I think I'm done with this. And then she goes, I didn't even like him.
Yep.
And now what happened?
Right.
So it's like, that's what happens when you don't say, am I attracted to this person? And am I attracted to their actions? Am I attracted to how they are in the date? To me, she sounds turned off.
She probably is turned off, but I think it's the ego thing that's sort of like at the forefront right now. Like, I think it's just like, well, why doesn't he want to have sex with me? Like, where he very well could want.
And especially, we've done this to ourselves. Like, men talk about sex all the time. All they want is sex. All they want is to look at an ass, look at a tits. And then the minute they're not looking at you, you go, well, there must
why isn't
be
he looking at
something
me?
wrong.
Yeah.
Men want sex all the time.
And then
they're
you're
animals.
You're more
know?
curious about him because of that. But honestly, you know, maybe he's doing the right thing. Maybe the fact that she's sending this email means he's playing it right.
Well, yeah, he's got her wondering. To me, it starts at, am I really into this guy? Start at that. As you have to question yourself. Am I into this guy? Is this enough to turn me off? Am I just playing? Am I? You know, what's the name of the detective? Am I just playing Patty, you know, Nancy Drew?
Yeah.
Don't be Nancy Drew. Okay, this is a lot of. So many women are just trying to figure it out rather than figure out themselves.
100%.
And because I get it. It's an ego thing. It's like, I want to be liked. I want to be liked too. But when you're doing Nancy Drew, you forget the other side of this of, do I even like this person? So I think, listen, have that conversation with yourself. I can't tell you whether you like the person. You can say, well, the dates have been great, but beware of hasn't made contact with you for 4 dates. And then, because I would say, even where you started, it's like, oh, it means something more to him.
Yeah. Which is what I'm leaning towards.
But it might not.
Or maybe he's just not that. Maybe he like doesn't want to kiss her that badly, and he's like, you ever have that with a person? You're just kind of like, I'd like to be more attracted to her than I actually am. You know, like you're kind of looking like I wouldn't
be on the date if I wasn't attracted to them. That's why I'm like, I'm trusting in penis. Like I trust the dick, and
trust the dick all the time.
I gotta say, like, he's not going on 4 dates because he doesn't think she's hot.
No, he probably thinks she's hot, but it might not be. But that's not only it, right? It's not only physical attraction. Maybe he doesn't feel the chemistry is great. Maybe there's just, for whatever reason, chemical. He can't really figure it out either. Maybe he's like, for whatever reason, I don't want to like make a move. That could be it also. I'm not saying that's it.
How does she get a guy to make a move without having to make the move herself?
If she invites, she will get a definitive answer on things if she just, the next date they set up is in a place where they're alone, where he can make a move.
So, like, you're suggesting the apartment date,
I'll cook dinner, let's have a glass
Netflix
of wine.
and chill. Yeah,
Totally.
I think that's part of it. I think it's also like, do you want to come up? But I guess that's her making the move with the answer. But I do agree. I think the apartment date, if you like this guy. So again, let's start. I think the answer sometimes in the email, when she says, I don't want to initiate physical contact because I find it hot when men take charge. So here's something you don't find hot about him.
Yeah.
Now let's take the pros and cons list. You got to look at that. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. Here with Eric Newman. We're sponsored people. Ooh, honey. Today's episode is sponsored by Honey, the easy way to save when shipping on your iPhone or computer. When shopping on your shopping. Let me read that again. Today's episode, I know Honey. Honey is fantastic. Honey also, you basically, here's what you do. I mean, Honey's free. It's a shopping tool that scours the internet for promo codes and applies the best one when it finds to your cart. Here's the thing. Here's the beauty of Honey. You guys, I got sponsors up the wazoo. Every episode I got promo codes. You know, we just did an Every Plate one. You can't listen to all the podcasts. You can't find all the promo codes. Honey is listening to all the podcasts. They know all the promo codes. So you go, you attach it to your web browser, and you go to your shopping cart, and then you go, I don't even buy stuff on my phone anymore because I want to make sure I buy on my computer. Well, I guess you can do it on your iPhone, but I have it on my computer. I should probably get it on here too. But I go to my computer, I'm like, Honey, do your thing. And they go, and they come back, and they go, you saved $20. It just finds you free money. There's no reason not to do it. Imagine you're shopping on one of your favorite sites. When you check out, the Honey button appears, and all you have to do is click apply coupons. I've done this hundreds of times. It saved me thousands of dollars. Wait a few seconds as Honey searches for coupons it can find for that site. If Honey finds a working coupon, you'll watch the price drop. People, this is like having your grandma who cuts coupons just waiting for you with all her coupons. That's what Honey is. It's great. I use it. It's fantastic. Did you know Honey doesn't just work on the desktop? I didn't know this. It works on your iPhone too. Just activate it on Safari on your phone and save on the go. I love this. If you don't already have Honey, you could be straight up missing out. And by getting it, you'll be doing yourself a solid and supporting this show. I'd never recommend something I don't use. I use it. Get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/JTrain. That's joinhoney.com/JTrain. Here with Eric Newman at I'm Eric Newman. Middle school love affair. Ooh. Jared, Feather, love the pod. 2 weeks ago, I met this guy at my weekly running club where I met my main friend group, and he and some of his friends are now part of our friend group and group chat. We have had strong chemistry and have been flirting since day one. The first night we met, he asked if he could kiss me, and I said, not yet. He said he liked that answer and wanted to take me on a date, but never followed up, and neither did I. The group had... She said, not yet. And he goes, I like that answer. What's he going to say? Fuck off. You're kissing me now, bitch. No, like, of course he likes that answer. He likes anything you say.
Great move on his part.
Yeah, he's got to go positive. He's got to swim with the current.
Loved it.
He said, the group had a plan to go on a hike next weekend, but everyone bailed except for me and him. Including the 4 hours of total drive time, we spent 12 hours together that day. Wow. We never kissed, but he held my hand and we gazed into each other's eyes, and it felt somehow more intimate than anything sexual. Again, he mentioned wanting to take me on a nice dinner date and cute things he wants to do with me, but he never planned a date. He did invite me to a happy hour, but his reservation was at a time that I already had planned, so I stopped by for an hour and basically listened to him and his friend talk about people I don't even know. We didn't talk again until running club. When he got there, we didn't talk or even acknowledge each other until 45 minutes in. Later in the night, we talked a little bit, and he paid for my dinner when the group went out to eat. We had more moments of lingering eye contact and flirty energy. My friend even said his friend told her he has a crush on me. At the end of the night, he asked if I wanted to come over, watch movies next week. I said yes, but I've also said yes to all the other ideas which he hasn't followed up on. My friends say he's probably nervous around me, but I am more inclined to think he's just not that into me, and if he wanted to see me, he would make definitive plans. I'm also aware that I get nervous around him, and maybe I give off the idea that I'm not interested. I feel like we're in middle school. We hold hands, don't kiss, then just ignore each other most of the time and talk about our feelings to other people and not to each other. I get major butterflies around him, but I'm starting to feel frustrated with him and with myself. Like, what the fuck are we doing? LOL. Jared, what do you think is going on here? What do you think, Eric Newman?
I think they really like each other.
Really?
I do. I think... Oh, man. Well, first of all, I liked this guy the second that he said, I like, when she said not yet, and he goes, I like that. I thought that was, because he swung it around to make it look like it was a thing that he was testing her for. Like, oh, I just wanted to make sure it was too soon. Like that kind of thing or whatever.
That's why I don't trust him.
I know, but I don't trust him.
I don't trust this guy an ounce. I don't like this guy. I think, I actually don't think they like each other. I think he wants to fuck her, and I think he doesn't want to date. And I think she wants to date. She has brought up a very realistic option. Yeah. Hey, I'd love to do dinner. Never makes a plan. He's done it a couple times now.
Yeah.
The email says it. The answer's right here. He goes, he said he liked that answer. Of course, he wants to make it sound like he agrees with everything she says. Everything.
Yeah.
And it's like this holding hand things. We should. Well, why aren't we?
Right. He obviously has, if he has the balls to go in for the kiss, he has the balls to make a plan. It's not like he's, nervous or tentative or whatever. The only thing I was about to say was, my first initial response was, he likes her, but then you started making those points, and I was like, oh, maybe he doesn't. But I think the real test is, since he canceled all the other plans, or didn't go through with all the other plans, rather, if he does go through with the come over to my place, and that's the only plan he goes through with, that's an absolute sign.
But that's the point.
Yeah.
Because sometimes this we should guy, we should do this, we should do that, we should do dinner, we should do trips, we should go to Capri. Well, why not? We should get pasta on the mountain in Cinque Terre. These are all flirts. These are all kind of
hypothetical fantasy.
Yeah, you're presenting fantasy in place of the reality, which is, a couple of pumps at his place and you're fucking done. And so here's the thing. I'm not giving up on this guy, but I think she has presented a standard. She's like, I want to do a dinner date. She likes this guy. She's getting butterflies. She needs to admit to that he's not doing the things he's bringing up. And then she says the one time they did hang out is, the hike, but then the hike happened because of, everyone bailing. But then he says he invites her to a happy hour.
Yeah, with his friend.
And it's like, so at this point, they've had hangouts that have included all these other people that he was planning on doing anyways.
Yeah,
and then their one hangout is on his schedule with his buddy talking about people they don't know. Yeah. So I agree. I'm sure there's an attraction.
Totally.
I'm sure you guys are hitting it off. I think he is saying, he's looking at her and she's being like, climb to this rung of the ladder. And he's going, I don't want to
I can only go this high. Yep.
And, I'm willing to go this high for sex.
Yeah.
But I'm not willing to go this high because that will get me into a more serious situation that I'm not looking for.
Well, Jared, this is so funny because you made up, all these points are 100% accurate. And I think the reason I liked him was because he reminded me of me a little bit. And that's why I'm saying probably don't go for this guy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe the connection's worth exploring. If he's going to have to come around in a bigger way. That's what it is.
Here's what she does. Hey, I'm enjoying hanging out with you. This is the text you send. Send this text. Hey, I'm really enjoying hanging out with you. I loved our hike. I want to get to know you better. Make a plan, and I'm in. That's it. Now he makes the plan or he doesn't. If he doesn't, I would give this a week. That's even too long, but give it a week for him to make a plan. After that, you got to cut off contact. The flirting's over. But I do agree that he probably deserves at this point, and they deserve to sort of see if there's anything there really to get one more shot. But that's when you send that text, it is plan or get the fuck out of here.
Totally.
And that's the most important thing because I understand she's already losing sight. She said the hike and we hold hands and he talks about dinners and he hasn't done shit. That's the reality. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. We're sponsored people. The JTrain podcast is brought to you by Electric E-Bikes. Regular bikes are great for short rides or paths you already know, but when you need an extra kick for those unexplored paths, you'll want an e-bike. Now, finally, there's an e-bike made for everyone that starts at just $7.99. Electric E-Bikes. You saw my e-bike when you walked in. It's a beautiful bike.
Gorgeous.
I use it all the time. I love it. You're an e-bike user, you said.
It's the best way to get around New York City.
Right?
Amazing. There's no better mode of transportation than an e-bike around New York City.
The wind in your hair, you're getting a little bit of a workout, not too much. You're not sweating your ass off. It's perfect.
Amazing.
This is where electric comes in because I love the bike. Eric is an e-bike user. You don't have to go to the city bike locations. You can have your own. You can just get going. You don't have to worry if there's going to be one there or not, where to park it near where you're going. Electric e-bikes mission is simple. Make e-bikes accessible for everyone. And with bikes starting at just $7.99, that's way less than the competition. All bikes ship free, pre-assembled, pre-charged. You'll be on the road in no time. Right out of the box. They fold up too. Cover up to 45 miles at up to 28 miles per hour on just 6-hour charge. Explore the great outdoors while keeping the air clean. Join the affordable e-bike revolution. Go to electricebikes.com. Use code JTrain to get a free foldable mountable bike lock with any bike purchase. That's a free bike lock when you use code JTrain at LECTRICEBIKES.com. electricebikes.com. Promo code JTrain. Help. Keep sending your emails. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. This one's called Help. My Boyfriend Solicited Sex. Dear JT, please help me with my dilemma. I feel very insecure and confused about handling information that I learned about my boyfriend's past. Long story short, I recently found out that in my boyfriend's early 20s, he and a couple of his closest friends would frequent erotic massage parlors. Let me read that again. He and a couple of his closest friends would frequent erotic massage parlors. When we first started dating, I asked him if he had ever been to one out of curiosity, and he told me no. I believed him at the time, but recently something happened that caused this topic to be brought up. I saw through his search history that he was searching for this once again. And I had a complete meltdown. I was sick to my stomach. So much ran through my mind. Anything from this is illegal and sick, and is he not happy in our relationship? He explained that when his friend was visiting out of town, they were being immature and reminiscing over the stupid things they did in college. They had no intention of going. They just wanted to see what happened to the place. He said he was embarrassed about his past, and that's why he lied about it to me, mainly because we had just started dating when I originally asked. He said it isn't who he is anymore. It's not something he likes to bring up, and he would never do that now. I can't help but feel lied to. It was a white lie, and it makes me think he can't be trusted at strip clubs or bachelor parties. That's my next problem. He will be attending 2 of them this year. I know boys play raunchy games, but just how comfortable is he crossing the line, especially when the boys he's going with are some of the friends he would get happy endings with? He said, I have nothing to worry about. That's all in the past. The boys he's going with are all married now with families, and they would never do that now. He said he has never cheated on me, and he's willing to do anything to make me feel comfortable, but none of that helps. Should I be worried? Can you judge someone for soliciting sex? Can he say no when there will be a lot of temptation? What do you think?
Oh man, that's a lot.
It's a tough one.
I was a porn addict for a long time.
Porn addict.
I was a porn addict for a long time, really bad, and that sort of translated into sexting, which I sort of became addicted to also, and then caused me to be unfaithful. And
hold on.
Yeah.
What's a porn addict? Are you watching all day?
I would be in the office when I had a day job. I would be in the office, and I would go into the bathroom twice a day and watch porn.
Pull up a porn.
That's it.
And did you go to therapy for it?
I'm in therapy now, but I sort of once I went through a breakup, I took 6 months off porn, and now I'm just back. I'm a casual porn user, I guess.
Can you dabble? I mean, I guess you're not sober right now.
That's hilarious. I'm just more controlled. I'm not gonna leave brunches to go jerk off.
You would leave a brunch to jerk off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that's an addiction. Anytime you have to hey guys, I'll be right back. Come back
can you
sweating.
Can you hold up? Can you guys not eat yet?
Yeah.
Can you hold off on your meal?
The eggs Benedicts. You guys go ahead, but don't touch the table pancakes. I gotta go squirt one off. Really.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, it was bad. So the only reason I'm bringing this up is because, look, there's certain things that you just don't, that people are ashamed to admit. And sometimes when you're starting a relationship, you don't necessarily want the person to know all the terrible shit you went through in your past.
I wonder if she had said, have you ever been to an erotic massage? It's interesting. The email is so interesting because I hear that, the guy goes and gets a hand job at a massage parlor. Those exist. Whether they're illegal and, what happens is the languaging changes,
Right.
Like Bob Kraft went to a massage parlor and got a hand job, and then that became a huge story. Then he gets charged with sex trafficking.
Right.
And you go, well, I don't think, and listen, we are so aware of 7 things down the line now that anything could be made into you're an evil sex trafficker at that point. Robert Kraft didn't go to the massage parlor I believe, this is my belief, that he didn't go to the sex parlor being I hope they shipped them all in today. That's not how I believe it to be. He wanted a hand job, and that's as much as he thought this out.
Yes.
Which I'm sure he would say was a mistake. Yeah. That's what this guy's saying. When she says, can you judge someone for soliciting sex? You know, when she puts it in that terms, you can see, and I'm not telling her how to feel. I think she's entitled to her feelings.
Sure.
But when she looks at it, you can see exactly how she looks at it. She looks at it as him in a Mercedes Benz with a 20 out the window, you know, going to a street corner and taking,
come on in, girl.
Come on.
Yeah. And that's like, the way it started.
And he isn't seeing it that way. There's two people looking at it from two different perspectives.
It was like the wrong. You know how like on Instagram you'll post a clip and you'll put like a little like sort of like clickbaity title card or something, whatever. The title card was too crazy for the actual story. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it turned out to be I mean, the guy's getting a hand job. I mean, whatever. It is what it is. But like, soliciting sex is a whole different thing. But like, the only thing I would be a little cautious of is like, whenever you find mouse droppings, there are mice.
You're right. And that's the part of this email that is concerning. It's not that he lied the first time. I get that. I can understand that.
Me too.
I would, if I were him, lesson learned. The cover-up's worse than the crime.
Yep.
If he had just said on that day, yeah, I've gotten a hand job. It was kind of something stupid we used to do in college. Fine. Okay.
Done.
But we tipped well, you know, like, I don't know.
That was the real test. She was a waitress, and she was like, if you didn't tip well, that's the only thing. If you didn't tip,
exactly. You
didn't
20%
on it?
Yeah. So, you know, to me, that initial cover-up makes sense. It's the searching today that doesn't make sense. That where you say, and listen, his story, I was with an old friend, we were looking up the place. If he showed you, I hate having to show someone, you know, that I'm not lying, look.
Yeah.
But if he showed you, this is the place, it's actually still open. Like, I would go, okay, I believe that story a little bit more. If he's just saying, oh, we were just searching to see if there were any in the area, okay, him and his friends. The idea that because his friends are married with kids means that the bachelor party is more trustworthy, I don't buy that either.
Married with kids as no representation of how faithful somebody will be, unfortunately.
What is a correlation? There's no correlation between the two. Oh, the whole bachelor party is married with kids.
Oh.
You go on bachelor parties, there's always one guy, I gotta go to the strip club, I gotta go to the strip club, I gotta go to the strip. And you're like, dude, you want this a little too much.
Too much. And then there's the other, right, let's say there's 5 guys, right? One's married, he's the we have to go to a strip club guy. Then you got the other guy on the other end who's like, I don't want to get anywhere near, I'm very happy in my marriage, I don't want to get anywhere. And then everybody else in the middle could kind of be swayed one way or the other, right?
Sure.
And that's where it becomes, so we don't know if he was the guy who originally brought it up. We don't know if he was the guy who was just following the guy who originally brought it up. Maybe they were drunk and he just Google searched it. They were like, let's have a laugh, let's see if it's open.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't know.
We don't know.
What I would caution her on is looking up the old hand job factory they used to go to, and then relating that to his 2 bachelor parties coming up.
Yeah.
You're looking at that's not the problem. It's the trust between you two.
You're exactly. It's not. I would be on the lookout if I were her.
Yeah, and I also you have to see that he doesn't look at it as soliciting sex.
Yes.
You know, so
totally.
Obviously, and he seems like, I mean, from what she's written, it seems like that he's like, you know, has some, you know, he's regretful of past decisions. I don't know. I can't tell you how to feel better about this, but I don't think you make it about the bachelor party. I think you got to come at him with like, when I see you looking this up, I can only assume you're trying to get a hand job.
Right.
And I would tell him the fears that you told us right here. Anything from this is illegal and sick. So you have to let him know, I believe this is illegal and sick.
Yeah.
So to him, he doesn't see it that way.
Right.
And then you have to say, is he not happy in our relationship? These are the questions I have. I need to see these. You have to understand this is where my head goes to. And I think talking about that rather than, well, I've got to watch out for you on the bachelor party. And then he's bringing up bullshit excuses for why the bachelor party is okay. Oh, everyone's married? Fuck off. Yeah. That's not a big. That's not a reason it's going to be
terrible excuse.
Yeah,
it's a terrible excuse on his part, and it's a really bad way to set the precedence of trust in the relationship going forward on her part. Like, because you found this, you can't subtly now start questioning him defensively about every place he's going and whatever.
It's
like the trust is there or it's not.
Yeah,
like you know
that's right. And and the like if like. And then you have to like what? You have to like be the morality police of each of the friends that goes.
Right.
His friends aren't the ones convincing him. That's the other part of this. That's the through line of this.
Yes.
Oh, my friend was over, so we looked up some old times. Oh, my friends are on the bachelor party. They're all married and engaged. No. This is about you. I'm talking to you.
A friend's not going to be able to even convince another friend one way or the other if that's what the person wants to do. Like
totally.
Like people blame the friends. It's the stupidest thing in the world.
No.
Like he's a man. He'll do what he wants to do.
JTrain podcast at gmail.com. JTrain podcast at gmail.com. Here with Eric Newman at I'm Eric Newman. Go follow. The special. It's out right now on YouTube. Search Eric Newman on YouTube. Go to his thing, the link in his bio. It's all there. It's waiting for you. A crowd work special. Watch him dance on the tight wire of comedy. It's great. It's a great, fun time to watch. Loser brother-in-law.
Okay.
In 2016, I met my current husband. We took our time getting to know one another and dated slowly for a year. After a year, it became more serious, and he asked me to move in with him. We were both homeowners, but his brother and 2 kids lived with him. I lived alone. In 2018, I ended up renting my house out to his brother and his 2 kids, whom he only has about 1 to 2 nights a week. Okay, so the brother has 2 kids, 2 nights a week, 1 to 2 nights a week. So the brother's like divorced
And has the kids.
and living in her house.
Living in her house, okay.
His brother currently unemployed and has been since 2020 by his own choice. Lives off unemployment. Whoa. We're getting into that choice during the pandemic.
Wow.
He's okay, but now that's her problem.
Yep.
Fast forward 5 years, we got married 10 months ago and have been speaking for the last 2 years about selling both of our homes and purchasing one together that would be ours. 2 weeks ago, I let him know that I was ready to sell my house. I would be making approximately $200,000 profit, and that would be a nice down payment for us. His response was unexpected. He referenced that I was a gouger and that his brother would end up having to pay more in a different rental. His brother currently pays my mortgage only. Yeah, he's getting a deal. He's lucky to get that deal. I pay for all the HOA fees and property taxes in my home. He was getting a heck of a deal. Yes, he is. Unfortunately, at the end of our 2-sentence conversation, he told me to move back into my home and that if I was going to make life-changing decisions on my own, that our marriage was over.
Oh my God.
This seems very
abusive
quick.
and
Very weird turn. My question is, was I in the wrong for wanting us to move forward as a couple, and what did I do wrong? I'm in the process of packing and moving and signing divorce papers as I write this. Love your show, and since I will be single soon, I probably need all the dating advice you give. Oh my God, I'm sorry to hear this.
This is terrible.
But this is also strange. It's strange. I mean, obviously, we're getting the email that were written, so we don't know the course of events. But here's so 2000. So she has his brother currently unemployed, has been since 2020, by his own choice, lives off unemployment. 5 years. We get married 10 months ago. So they got married 10 months ago.
From today. 10 months ago from today.
I'm assuming from today.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So we're married 10 months ago. We have been speaking for the last 2 years about selling both of our homes and purchasing one together that will be ours. 2 weeks ago, I let him know that I was ready to sell my house and I'd be making approximately $200,000. And his response is he referenced that I was a gouger and that his brother would end up having to pay more in a different rental. So there's something else wrong here.
Oh, 100%. But is the brother... So the brother's living with her, or she's renting the house to the brother? And where's she living?
She's renting the house to the brother, and she's living with the husband.
Okay, but at the husband's house.
Yeah.
And so she wants to sell her house so they can buy a house together that's
Yes.
both of theirs, as opposed to her living in his. I mean, she's 100% right.
Well, there's something else here.
Okay.
He's hiding something.
Yeah.
He wanted to end this marriage.
100%.
It is not about the house. It's about your marriage. It's about your relationship.
Yep.
He was not in on this relationship. 10
Never.
months. He's realizing that this marriage isn't for him, and he's trying to find a way out. The way out is to blame you for doing the most reasonable thing that I can imagine. Also, here's the other reality. Hey, I'm selling my house. I'm going to have a $200,000 windfall. Now we can buy our house. That'll be the down payment. Why don't your brother move to this house until we sell this one? Tell your brother to get on his feet. Why is it on her?
What does she owe to his brother?
She was doing him a favor.
No, that's what I'm saying. She doesn't owe him anything. Like, this is totally on goodwill and just her being a nice person.
But this is what happens. This is how, and I think this is a very male thing. We break up before the next thing. We break up, and then you have a lot of women that'll be like, I was blindsided. Well, this is a blindsiding thing to go on.
100%.
But he is using this as a reason, this whole house thing, to call you a price gouger. What? You're wrong. He's wrong. That's wrong. House is on the open market. You did his brother a favor for as long as you could. The favor's over. Time to move on. Why doesn't he get in a job? You know?
Yeah.
So when he's using this house to get out of it, and again, this is societal. This is how I notice this about myself. When I end a relationship, it's before the next step.
Yeah.
And when you end something, you get asked why. And you can't really answer. I don't know what the answer's icky. The answer's I don't see a future.
And maybe there's somebody else in his life. I can't say that at all for any certainty.
Don't know.
But who knows? There's something else going on.
There's something off.
Yeah.
Well, there's something off enough that he wanted the first exit he could find. He took that off ramp. So the off ramp, and so when you get faced with why, he knew he was going to get. Why is our marriage ending? Well, now he's got.
There you go.
The concrete contract.
Nobody's
right
suggesting divorce if they don't want it.
Exactly. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. We got time for a couple more, yeah? Sex advice for a former virgin. I guess we're all former virgins.
Yeah.
Papa JT, classic shelf, and esteemed guest, wishing you a downpour of feathers. I'm a 26-year-old female, and up until about 6 months ago, I was a virgin. Since I am still pretty new to all this, I'm having a hard time speaking up during sex, especially when it's with a new partner. For example, sometimes when there is some finger action going on, the guy will be going way too hard to the point that it is almost painful. But I don't know how to speak up. I feel uncomfortable and worried about offending him. But then I end up just laying there hoping he will move on to something else. How can I speak up and ask for him to be more gentle or for other things I need in the bedroom without making the guy feel like he's doing a bad job? Thanks, sexy but silent. What do you think?
Oh, I think you just have to look. Any relationship, if it's somebody who you're especially going to grow with and see again and continue to sort of build with, you have to be honest. I mean,
yeah, I mean, you can't worry about it. As long as you say things nicely. You can't worry about offending. Like, I think the only time I've ever been offended in bed is when the person's frustrated in a way that I'm not even trying. You know, like
100%.
And like to me, we're in a partnership. We're both trying to get to Climax Island. I want you there. You want you there. We all want you climaxing. I want all the coming. Okay. The frustration comes in when you think that I'm not working with you. So that's the only time I've ever felt like I was being looked at in a way that made me feel off put.
100%. And also, and I think that goes back to her where it's just like, as long as you do keep things positive.
Keep it positive.
Keep it positive. Don't be like, oh, that sucked or anything negative. No disparaging remarks.
Even just saying, hey, a little gentler. That's a perfectly reasonable thing to say. 100%. Hey, a little bit gentler, softer, to the right. Oh, that feels good. Letting people know when it feels good, not just the negative. That's a helpful thing. Yeah. I think that's genderless. This is about...
And ageless, too.
And ageless. Yeah. Ooh, that feels good. You want to be like a climax sonar. Boop, 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 boop. You want to let them know. So that's with positivity. More, it's Red Rover. It's not Red Rover.
Like
it's Marco Polo. You want to play climax Marco Polo when you're in the bedroom. You want to go, ooh, that feels good. Ooh, that feels good. Ooh, that feels good. You're heading towards that. Oh no, a little bit. No, a little gentler, Oh, that's great. You want to give as many greats as you do the negatives.
Also, you could even say it without saying it. Like, if you're being dishonest with your sounds, that's not going to help at all. Like, if it's hurting you and you're like keeping that to yourself, just say ow, and then all of a sudden the guy goes, oh, maybe I'm going a little too hard here.
Ooh, and sorry. Listen, anyone that is mad at you going, that doesn't feel right, isn't the right sexual partner. And you say you're a former virgin. We're all former virgins.
All of us.
The best sex, the best sexual relationships come with people you're comfortable with. Mm-hmm. So the more you're talking with these people, I know you're new to this game, and maybe you're like, wow, I want to have sex now, and and I'm out there now. Now is the time to like maybe meet someone to like practice with, meet someone that you like enough to have these kind of rough draft sex. Yeah. I mean, as opposed to the...
And it doesn't really have to do with the fact that she's like newly, having sex. Like we all, when we have new partners, no matter how experienced we are previously, we're experiencing something new with a new person. Mm-hmm. So it's like, there's no shame in not knowing what to do.
Figure out how it fits together. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. JTrain podcast at gmail.com. Here with Eric Newman at I'm Eric Newman. Go follow. Go watch the special. The special's fantastic. He's hilarious. A crowd work special, but enough about me. That's the name of the special. Go watch. Last email, Professional X. Hi, Jared. I'll jump right into it. My ex and I dated for roughly half a year before he went back to the girl he was previously engaged with. I was heartbroken. I won't deny it. He then took me and all my friends off IG and Snap. He texts me every now and again, though, and so I texted him asking what unfollowing us was all about. He said he didn't want to see me and how much fun I was having without him because he still misses me. Kind of whack, right? Yeah, you were going to get a whack answer to a whack question, if to use their word.
Why are you asking?
The people unfollow for their own self-betterment. Yeah. That's the only reason anyone unfollows. It's not about you, but then if you ask for an answer, you're going to get if you ask, why'd you unfollow me? It's going to come back with as much of a shitty answer as the question. Because the question, you know why he unfollowed you. He's trying to get away from you. He understands you guys had was good or great or whatever it was, and he knows he has to move on from it. And having someone in your viewing your stories or liking your stuff is a little bit of a nudge to you. Maybe it matters nothing to you, but it matters to him. So he got away from it. And I think that's the rightful thing. The fact that he's texting you off and on after unfollowing, you can tell that's an issue. I would say, hey, stop texting me. It's not, but you asking isn't really putting up a barrier. You asking is somewhat interest.
Yeah.
Don't ask questions that you already know the answer for.
Right. And that, by the way, no matter how it's answered, will hurt you.
Yes.
Like you're not going to get any answer that's going to make you feel good.
Oh, look, I hurt my own feelings. Yeah.
Right.
No,
exactly.
It sucks. And listen, I'm here with you. I just think this is, you've taken a bad path and then asked, why did he take the bad path too?
Right.
You both did.
And also, I think like him making the decision to then text every once in a while is basically him going, I can handle this, I can't handle this. Well, maybe you can't handle that.
Yeah.
So maybe it's stop texting me.
Here's the thing. Even though he removed me from all social media, we are still connected on LinkedIn. We both work in property management, which is a fairly small industry in the city we both live in. He was a position above me with another company while we were dating. We used to ask each other for job situation advice and could relate a lot to the day-to-day stressors. I'm actually pretty active on LinkedIn and will post pictures of professional events I attend and accomplishments. He reacts to my LinkedIn posts. See, this is the problem. And
staying around.
He's sticking around. Yeah. He liked something I posted yesterday, then texted me today, hey, I don't even want to reply, LOL. But my question is why? Why remove all the other social media but then keep up with my professional life? I know you've talked at great length about IG and Snap window tapping. Is this similar? It's also not like we ever directly work together or for the same company, so not the same as some of the work dating situations you've read emails about. Curious your take. Sincerely, love a man in a suit. What do you think?
I think, well, first of all, the one factor I think, you have to highlight is maybe the girl doesn't want, like the fiance, or he's married now.
Oh yeah, LinkedIn is kind of, he's with the woman he was just with. LinkedIn is more safe because
professional.
You're also not getting watched in the same way a girlfriend would watch your Instagram or your TikTok or your Snapchat.
Right.
Your search history, when you put in a name, the names that come up are the people you just searched. Your girlfriend can't look over your shoulder and go, why are you still searching for Becky or whatever? So
exactly.
That's a great point. I think also we have to stop believing that just because it's a dude who you ended badly with doesn't mean that they're not a human being.
Yeah.
This guy is holding on to the one last thing he has to kind of check in on you. And he's still texting you, so he does obviously have feelings. Not enough to make it happen.
No.
Not enough to keep extending it. No. You are somewhat of a fantasy for him. You're someone that said yes to his naked body once before. That's hot to every guy. We never believe. A lot of men don't believe, no matter how far away from the relationship that we've gotten, not a lot of men believe that you are disgusted by them now. Because you did means you would, which makes it hot in our fantasies.
Yep.
So he's hanging on to this LinkedIn fantasy because it's his one shot to look at you without his new girlfriend or the old girlfriend from before looking over his shoulder.
Yeah, totally.
It's a safe space.
And by the way, he might really have strong feelings still, and he probably does. But the truth is, we don't know exactly why he chose the other woman, and that's not really for you to figure out.
It's not even about that. And he has feelings for her, but not strong enough to end his relationship and move away with her and make and put himself in a position of maybe failure. Maybe failure is, hey, I've left my last girlfriend. I want to go on a date with you. And then you have to go, well, no, you were an asshole before, so I'm never going out again.
Right. And then
he's never doing this.
Right.
Now, this is the safest route to get to, look at you. The safest route is on LinkedIn. So this is all safety. If I'm this person, I'm unfollowing on LinkedIn for the same reasons he unfollowed you and all your friends, for your own personal betterment. I would get away from this. He's not going to be a business contact. And I would even text him, hey, you got to back off.
Yep.
These texts are bringing me to a bad place where I think about a relationship. I'm trying to get better just like you. Goodbye.
No contact. That's it. There's no benefit to keeping him around at all.
No.
That's it. You'll find somebody else. It's going to stop you from moving on also if you keep hearing from every once in a while, LinkedIn, whatever.
Horrible. JTrain podcast at gmail.com. Eric Newman, thank you for coming on.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
Everyone go follow Eric at I'm Eric Newman. Hilarious. The Crowd Work special. It's out on his YouTube right now. You can go make it a Friday night, make it a Saturday night, put it on during the pregame. Put it on, with breakfast. What a nice thing. On your computer, on your phone, wherever you want. I'm Jared Freid. We're here every Monday. Keep sending your emails. JTrainPodcast at gmail.com. Back to the next episode. Boom.